Now we'll have a quick look around at what's in the space. We got some shelves on which are some diesel engines, HS2s, and the Great Western Railway livery of the new era. We got some steam engines down on this shelf here. These I inherited off my brother-in-law when he died. I had first pick of his engines. He had somewhat close on 85 engines when he died, so I had a small portion because there wasn't many that I needed, and his son and daughter had one or two, and the rest went to the Pontypool and Glenavon Railway for sale to help with their funds. These are all engines that can be run. Obviously I can't run them all at once, but we use them from time to time. They must be run at least twice a year, because if you don't, they will seize up. There's the old blue Pullman, which some people may remember, which has never been preserved. You will never see one in preservation. Unfortunately, it was the iconic runner to the HS2 of its time. Two sets were made, one for the Great Central Railway, which is known as the Midland Pullman, and the other which ran from Paddington to Cardiff, which is known as the Western Pullman, sometimes calling in at Bristol. A few more HSTs and their coaches, and then down to the older versions of the diesel multiple units. These are Triang ones. Most of what I have is Triang or Triang Hornby. And now I will show you some of my special sets. This is the City of Birmingham locomotive. The original was not streamlined like this one has been made, but it was streamlined for a while back in the 1930s, when passengers and indeed railway companies believed that by putting stripes down the sides of their engines and rolling stock, they would go a bit faster. Note the nose cone on the front, which a lot of A4s on the AL and the R kept for quite a long time, although the LMS didn't keep their nose cones for very long, only for about 5 years, and that was about it. This is the Flying Scotsman. Limited edition. Back in 1995 this was released to mark a special anniversary of the Flying Scotsman. It came with 2 tenders. The 2 tenders were required because obviously by the time that it started running in 1995 for special trips and events, there were no water points on the railways. So in order for it to make long journeys and recreate the London to Edinburgh run, London to Edinburgh, it had to have 2 tenders on it, and I think it only had to stop twice to be watered on its journey. And it used to do it from London's King Cross to Edinburgh Waverley in 4 hours and 20 minutes, and that was some going back in the past before motorways and that came about. Of course, no railway man living in Tyseley with a model railway layout would be worth his salt if he didn't have the Tyseley connection, that's consisting of 1 engine and 2 Great Western Railway coaches to start you off. 3 Great Western Railway coaches, I should say, to get you going. And again, this was a limited edition, and so of course, living in Tyseley, I had to buy it. And as I say, anybody else who lives in Tyseley who's got a model railway layout, if you haven't got one of these, I'm afraid you're not a real railway man, because Tyseley is where all steam engines come from preserved railways from all over the country to be repaired. And when my brother-in-law was alive, we went up to the Pontypool and Glenavon Railway late at night, because on a Friday night at about 8 o'clock, rather than drive real steam trains, they met together in one of the sheds where they got a layout themselves, and played at trains for about an hour, and I went up with him, and as soon as I mentioned I came from Tyseley, well, it was a case of get back, get back, get back, you know, the enthusiasm from these guys. So it's like a magic word. If you want free entry and preferential treatment on steam railways, say you come from Tyseley, I guarantee you'll get preferential treatment. Another thing that Hornby Railways brought out as a special edition was for the 50th anniversary of various engines was the Royal Dalton collection. So you brought the engine that you wanted, and it also came with a plate, and there's the plate there to be seen, and there's the engine in the box that you brought, which was a nice little earner. I kept this box. I have got another one that came with a plate, but I didn't keep the box, unfortunately, on that one. I wish I had now, but still, there you go. I've kept one anyway, and this only gets to run on high days and holidays, as most of these that I'm showing you do, because they are special. And I'm afraid that because they cost £200 upwards, only I will run them. This is a Hornby Railway special presentation edition of various Great British trains. Only 3,000 of these were made, and unfortunately the box is seeing better days, but that's what is inside the box. 3 British Railway crimson and red rolling stock, along with an engine, and can't quite make out the name on that. My eyesight is not as good as what it used to be, but never mind, you get the picture, as they say. And again, these cost quite a lot of money. I don't know whether the price is still on this one. £99.99, so you could say it was £100. I forget when I bought this now, but it must be a good 20 years ago. As you can see, these things are not toys, they are proper models and made for model railway enthusiasts with loads of detail on them. This is another presentation of the special presentation edition, just like the other one, but this time we've got Guillemot from the LNER region in LNER Green, and with 3 presentation coaches of the LNER Crimson variety. Very well detailed, a lovely set, and as I say, they're not for kids to play with. When Harry Potter was very popular at the cinemas, Hornby brought out special train sets, limited editions, to commemorate this. This is the outside of the box, so let us have a look at the inside to see what we get. Well, as you can see, we get a full train set when we open the inside. The engine being a castle based on Cardiff Castle and GWR Railway. It's called the Hogwarts Castle. It's the only castle I know that was painted red. Normally castles are found painted in Great Western Railway green or British Rail black. Came with 2 coaches to complement the set. Came with a small station building, some track, curbs, straights, and a transformer in order to get you running. And this cost in the region of £190 when bought. They have gone up in value since, obviously, because Harry Potter fans now are chasing these like crazy. If you didn't want the full train set, you could just buy the engine by itself for about £70 or £80. I think now you'd have to pay £150. I've seen one going for. So if you want to make investments, then I would suggest to you model railways is the thing to invest in. I'm certainly glad that I did some 30 to 40 years ago, because their value has really increased dramatically over the years, and it's got to the point now where the way that they're made and so professionally done, they're no longer toys for kids but models for proper model railway enthusiasts. So when people say to me, can I see your toy trains, after I've breathed out fire and smoke and jumped up and down a few times, I tell them they're not toys, they are models. and I show them a price list and say if anything gets broken, that's what you got to pay. Another train set that's close to home, of course, is the Shakespeare Express. In the summer months it runs between Tyseley and Stratford upon Avon, although sometimes it does go the roundabout route and goes down towards Warwick and then up to Stratford upon Avon via Claverdon and that way. It's a shame that most of the times it's Sundays, but there are some Saturday runnings, and I thought, well, living in Tyseley and this running from Tyseley railway station, you've got to have it, haven't you? So what's inside? First and foremost, there's the engine. It comes wrapped in a plastic protective cover to keep the dust and the moisture away from it. And this is a Hall, and it's Ashton Hall, Great Western livery. It comes with a model of the Stratford open top bus. You cannot buy this bus on its own as a model. You have to buy it with this set of this train set, which makes it rather unique. Coaches, of which there are 3, composite stock and in Great Western Railway livery. And again, it's a good thing to invest in and buy in, because again, this was a limited edition. I think there was only 3,000 of these made, so a good thing to have in my opinion. Gets run on high days and holidays. This is the Tornado Pullman. The Tornado being the last British steam locomotive built in Great Britain. In fact, this steam locomotive is far newer than a lot of diesel locomotives that are out there at the moment. It costs £3 million to build from scratch. It's an A3 class, and which used to run on the LNER. It comes with Pullman coaches behind it, and as you can see from the drawing on the bottom, because I'm not going to bother opening this one up, it's standard procedure. 3 coaches, Pullman class, so an oval track, some straights, some points, a buffer stop, and a transformer to get you going. I think this was £225 when I bought this, so again, you know, it's not cheap, but the detail is pretty impressive, and it's the sort of thing that collectors look for and like, the unusual and that which is out of the ordinary. So there we go. Right, in my man cave, so to speak, we have another bench which has got an oval track on it, and this is the workbench. This is where we repair trains, because sometimes they need to be repaired. Generally there's a shop down in Yardley called Baz's Trains, and I've gone there quite a few times and bought some rolling stock and some engines that aren't running very well or need to be repaired at a highly discounted price, and brought them home and repaired them. Sometimes it's just a case of a loose wire. Sometimes it's a case of putting 1 or 2 bushes in the motor and things like that. But if you know what you're doing, and me being an electrician, it's toy town to me, if you pardon the pun. So it's easy enough to repair. If you yourself aren't in the electrical game, it doesn't matter, because you can soon pick it up with a small multimeter and a 12 volt driver like I've got here, which I shall demonstrate to you for testing track and testing circuits. The multimeter obviously will tell you about continuity, so I shall put this on and we shall see. You'll be able to see what I mean. If you're checking for continuity on a track, then you put said thing onto the track and it should light up. There we are. See that? 12 volt driver, which you can buy from any model shop, or you can get from any car accessory shop, and you can use it on your car. Very useful if you're trying to find where that break in the cable is on a car's electrical system. Saves you taking it to the garage and spending millions. We also have a cradle, And this cradle allows me to, if I need to do any work, to pop an engine in, just like so. There we go. It's like having a third hand, and it holds it, and then I can do any work I need to do, oiling and cleaning and so forth, by using a cradle like that. Again, inexpensive, but you don't have to buy one. I think this was £13 for me to buy. At the time I didn't have time to make one, but all it simply is a piece of pipe foam and 2 laser cut steps just to hold it in place. So there you go again, something useful that you can do. For cleaning track, we use on occasions one of these, and what it is, it's a sponge, and it's got very fine glass paper stuck on the outside, and you just go along the track like that and just run it along, and it cleans your track up for you. I have found something better than that, and that is to get a rag, spray WD-40 on it, and that's what, in case you don't know what it looks like, that's WD-40, bought from any hardware store. Spray the rag and then go around with the rag, and you'll be amazed how it cleans the track. It's absolutely brilliant for that sort of thing. Over here we have helping hands, and these are like little vice things which we can adjust and turn when we've got something that with the crocodile clips which we have and need to either solder or glue together or whatever. And then over in this corner I got a little vice, and here we have an old 1960s transformer from Triang. And the reason why I've got this here, because it's got what you don't get on modern transformers, and that is one of those. And that button there is a cutout. So if there's any short circuits with anything, that button there, just like an RCD on your main electrical system in the house, it will pop out, cut the current, and stops any burning and damage to your locomotive. So if you can get one of those, and there's still loads of them about, but you're only going to get them from a shop that sells second-hand stuff. So keep an eye out if you want one of them. Okay, right. Now then, we'll finish off then with the train of the future. So that is the train of the future, DCC, which is coming into being, which is computerized controlled trains, and they've got sound chips in so that they sound just like the real thing, and you can have them with hooters and all sorts, so you can really bring your layout to life. I know a friend of mine who's sadly died had the Blue Portman by Bachmann, which he bought, which was chipped, and it did all sorts of things. There was 12 sounds on it, and you could hear a guy saying all aboard and all that sort of thing, and passengers talking, and the station master making announcements, and the horn going on the train, and the little lamps inside the carriages would light up, or you could switch them off if you wanted to. You could do all sorts of things, and that is the way forward. DCC. I'm not controlling the train now, the computer is doing it, and you can run multiple trains on the same track, which you can't do with the old 12-volt analog. But I don't think I'll be going to DCC. A, it's very expensive at the moment. And be at my time of life now, it means that I'd have to start all over again and spend out loads of money. But anything that comes sort of second-hand way, then I might grab one or two. Also, the voltage is different. It's 16 volts AC and not 12 volts DC. So you must make sure that if you've got one, you haven't got the other.